Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, we've been talking about words from the garden, sayings. Listen to this. I'm reading today from the book of Matthew, chapter 26, and verse 40. Here's what it says. Then he returned to the disciples and found them asleep. He said to Peter, "Couldn't you watch with me even 1 hour? Keep watch and pray, so that you will not give in to temptation. For the spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Then Jesus left them a second time and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot be taken away unless I drink it, your will be done." When he returned to them again, he found them sleeping, for they couldn't keep their eyes open. A life without prayer is a life lived unconscious to the things of God. Jesus brought the disciples with him at this very important time. He still was craving their support, their sympathy, the safety in numbers. He was going into a time of great prayer and anguish that he was going to have to bear all alone. The complete self-sacrifice of someone dying on the cross for the sins of the whole world. But they were heavy, asleep. They didn't or couldn't know how to answer him. And he asked them, "Couldn't you watch with me just for 1 hour?" More people believe in prayer than practice it, so said Oswald Chambers. I think prayer is the single most important regret that most of us have. We feel a sense of disappointment, and most of us have real good intentions. God knows we meant to pray. God knows we would have prayed. But if prayer was needed by Jesus, how much more for people like you and me? So here's the question. Is prayer my steering wheel or just a spare tire? Think about it. He said you got to pray to not enter into a life controlled by the flesh, where we don't yield to the flesh, the carnal, the lower nature, and we don't give in to it, because when we do, the devil comes in and he sows all kinds of bad things in our life. He said, I want you to watch and pray. He took 3 of the disciples and went a little further into the garden. And this time, I realized, sometimes there are places in life that God takes us into a new area, and we may not be able to walk with God and pray exactly as we should, because sometimes we're left alone in the silence like Jesus was. They were worn out that night, the disciples, from the rush of the day, the sorrow of the things he had said, the watching, and he found them sleeping. He found them sleeping when he needed them the most. He spoke to Peter, the one who had really pledged he would never turn his back on the Lord. He said, couldn't you just stay conscious? Even if you're unable to help, couldn't you just be with me? Wow. So I'd ask the question today of us, are we sleeping in any area in our life? Is there any place that we just kind of become unconscious to the things of God? If so, here's a great thing we can do. Number 1, we can wake up. I guess all of us know how to set the alarm on our phone and have it wake us up when we need to get up. Set some kind of alarm. I remember when I was young and in college, one of my pastors taught me to watch and pray. So he would make us look at our watch and pray for 15 minutes. Just can't stop until you get to the 15 minutes. So he's teaching us this lesson, how to stay awake. If we can wake up, then we can pray up. That means we get plugged into the most dynamic power in the universe. This is the power that can fight the kingdom of darkness. And during this time, we have a real open honesty with God, and he can talk to us. Couldn't you watch with me 1 hour? Maybe 1 hour is a little bit long for you to start. Start out saying, Lord, I'm gonna pray with you for 10 minutes. And set an alarm and see if you can't get in the 10 minutes time. And just sometimes, like a good conversation, we have to slow down and let God speak to us instead of just talking all the time. So today's thought from the garden is that he wants us to pray. Give him time today, would you? God bless you.